video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Welcome to Red Roof Family Farm. We have been very busy over the last 2 months. So busy, in fact, that we haven't really filmed anything, which means it's time to give you all an end of season farm tour and show off all the work we've been up to. Here in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, Zone 5, beginning of December is cold. Very cold. It's officially winter. The farm has been dead for a while, and you know, it's very gray here. There isn't really much to look at, and it maybe feels like there isn't much to be excited about, but that isn't true. Because I am incredibly excited to show off to you that I have 1,000 peonies planted into the ground. This is a massive job that we've actually been working on for multiple years at this point. It took us 2 weeks of like dedicated hands in the ground after we got the peonies to get them into here. We had to put down the fabric, we had to burn the holes in the fabric, we had to dig these big holes because our peonies were so nice. We had to get those peonies in, and you know, even as this isn't done, come spring I'm gonna have to clean it up, but that's just like scratching the surface. Even before that, there was prepping the ground, which we've been at it for multiple years. When we first moved here, this section had been a cherry tree nursery, so there's just like lines of just like pure like cherry tree stumps that were big enough that it was so hard to dig them out. There is this like weedy tree behind us that we took out, but before we took it out, it had seeded thousands of trees into there over there, you know, the past 10 years. So Ian was digging with the axe. This is massive job. And maybe the most exciting part of it is that this was a space that was like unused. This was a space that had nothing. It was a mess. It was a lot of maintenance. It's very overwhelming for us to keep on top of it. Now, with the fabric down, with the peonies in place, this is gonna become a low maintenance area. This is, you know, a good, I don't know, like quarter of our property into production in a way that it's gonna not be overwhelming to manage year after year. You know, the peonies, this is just the beginning. Getting them into the ground, it's, you know, every year it's just gonna get just a little bit better. And I'm really excited for spring, for getting to see the first few blooms. And I'm also really excited for 5 years from now when these are gonna be pumping out, you know, like 10,000 stems every year. It feels really amazing. And, you know, definitely I'm very proud of this, you know, especially looking back at where we were on this property when we first moved here.
Can you find a flower in here?
So the past 3 weeks I've been watching this, thinking it might flower. Still bud form. I guess when it's freezing outside, things grow very slowly. These are anemones that we planted, I don't know, in March. And then I was supposed to have dug them up to save them, but this greenhouse just was chaos. And then as temperatures cooled down, they started growing again. And I'm amazed how many are in here and how well they're doing. The anemones are, you know, a lot more cold hardy than the ranunculus. We've had them survive in the field. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do over the winter. I mean, this is crazy, but these are not like gone brown with how cold it's been. Oh!
You found a flower.
Another massive job that we've checked off the list is we planted our 10,000 tulip bulbs this year. In the bed behind me, we have a good amount of them. These raised beds are our solution for easily planting up the tulips. As a flower farmer, we grow the tulips as annuals. So we plant them in the fall, and then come spring, we rip them out, bulb and all, and we just compost the bulbs so we can have nice long stems on our cut flower tulips, which means that we can really cram them in. So this was really nice. We also plant it in pure compost. So this job involved moving a lot of material, but compost is very lightweight. So the physicality of doing this job wasn't too bad. How many days? What do you think, Ian? How long did it take to get this done? It was like 5 days?
For the
maybe?
planting the tulips?
Yeah, and they were short days because it was cold. I don't like the cold. I prefer working in the heat. So we were working like 10 to 4, so short days. But yeah, feels really nice. Last year, we didn't get our tulips planted until like close to Christmas. And that was a bad feeling. We still had success with them. We learned you can plant tulips in December, January if you need to. But it's not healthy for the stress levels. So feels amazing to have these tucked away and safe for the winter. A little bit bigger and heavier of a job is what I had Ian do here. I broke his back because this was an entire 50-foot bed that had to get dug out down 8-10 inches, and unfortunately this wasn't compost. This was a heavy wet soil, so thank you, Ian. Much gratitude for your man muscles. This bed is now an entire bed of daffodils. I got about 3,000 of specialty cut flower daffodils. We have an unboxing video that we released a couple weeks ago that has all the details of the different varieties of daffodils and tulips that we have. But so the best of the best, I planted into this bed, and come spring, it's gonna look pretty amazing. This bed I really like because it's in one of our like showy spots on the farm, and every year I try to plant it with things that are a little bit more decorative than just what the cut flower farm is. And Ian, he loves dahlias. He has all these special flowers that I don't always like growing for cutting on the farm, but I like to grow for him. So from now on, this is just permanently a spot to make things beautiful. The daffodils, they're gonna bloom here in the spring, and then once they die back, we can just have a beautiful decorative bed, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just remembered my numbers, I lied. There's only 1,500 daffodils in the permanent bed. There's another 1,500 that we planted here along the fence line. As hard as it was for Ian to dig out that bed, this was the job that neither of us were really looking forward to. And we got like Nellie, our employee, and someone else who came on to help us with some of this digging, do this so we could avoid it. But along this fence, we planted, or other people planted for us, 1,500 daffodils, bulb by bulb. We bought a stand-up bulb planter, and you can kind of see here what we did is we cut out a single circle plug of dirt, popped one bulb in, and then plugged it back up 1,500 times. So there's actually 3 rows kind of every 6 inches for this entire fence line. It took a very long time, but the year before we actually planted 3,000 along this fence previously. And I know it really doesn't look like anything, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entire rows of daffodils. There's, this, multiple foot bed along the fence, and it looked amazing last year, and I can't wait. 4,000 bulbs just along this fence line, blooming. it's spring, every year spring is getting better with all these things that we're planting, and you know, I'm really excited. And with the daffodils that we planted last year coming into their second season, where they're gonna be nicely established, you know, happily growing, I think we're gonna have a lot of flowers. Kaya! Kaya! I showed you my one raised bed of tulips, but I bought 10,000 tulip bulbs and that only held 5,000. So the rest of them are in these mini raised beds that we built here. This has another, 2,000 or so. And then the final third is in our third most exciting check off the list project of the fall season, which is greenhouse. We are back up to 3 greenhouses. This summer we had a crazy wind, tornado, dust devil thing event happen, and it ripped out our 3rd greenhouse, which was not as bad as it could have been, but I have a lot coming in the spring. We have thousands of Lisianthus. I have thousands and thousands of ranunculus and anemones that I plant. I've ordered an entire bed of stock, snapdragons. There's lots of things that I put in these covered spaces. And so having 2 greenhouses, 2 was not enough. I was very nervous. So we were able to get this frame up, and Ian did a really incredible job on it. One of the things that we've learned over the years is taking care of these in between spaces. It gets really weedy. So our new trick is to always put down a piece of landscape fabric. This just, it's easier to maintain. We don't really lose much space because the arches are so like steep at this point that we don't grow this close to the edge. But having this plastic is such a lifesaver. And for us, you really need to do it when you put up the tunnel. So having the spot, Ian got this ground all tilled up. So, it's gonna be really happy and ready to go come spring. And then we have it filled already. We already have our first bed in here. And what this is our final third of our tulips. We plant them into bulb crates, and then we have them in this tunnel. We don't have plastic on it yet, which is intentional, because when you put plastic over these tunnels, you don't get any water inside of them. So not having the plastic up yet is our way of keeping the tulips watered throughout the winter season. And then come February, when we want to kind of kickstart these tulips, we put the plastic onto the hoop, and then all of a sudden we have an entire crop of tulips that's gonna bloom out 2 weeks earlier than the tulips that I already showed you. By doing this, it really extends our tulip season. It makes it so we can have these tulips that bloom at the same time as our daffodils, and it's really helpful for the farm. And then having them in these crates is great, because as soon as they're done, it's easy to remove them out of the tunnel and fill in the space. These covered spaces are such valuable growing space that we really want to keep these tunnels as full as possible. Those are some really exciting big projects, and having them done makes me feel like I can actually go into like the Christmas season taking time off, which is something we haven't really been able to do in all the 5 years that we've had the farm. We're so on the ball this year that we even got the farm cleaned up, which is just incredible. Almost every year we save farm cleanup for early spring. February, March are busy months on the farm because there's mess everywhere. And this year, obviously there's still stuff to do, but this year we're like way ahead of the ball. Things are like looking really good, and all of this means that we're going into 2024 with like just a little bit more energy. We're going into 2024 with things being just a little bit easier, and so that means this time next year, we'll be even further ahead. And then our last big like celebration victory is something that is near and dear to Ian's heart because he is always very worried about how things look on videos. I always say, Ian, no one's gonna see the weeds. Ian, no one's gonna see the mess. Everyone's looking at the beautiful flowers. There's so many amazing things, but now there is no mess. There is no mess to see, even if you are looking for it, because Ian has been spending so much time, this is like a 10-day project here, cleaning up this area. And that's exciting for me because I don't know if you know this, but as soon as something gets empty, I'm like, oh, more farm. So I'm like, oh, look at all the space that I can be growing. You know, Ian, he finally got all that completed, prepped for me. Now he's cleaned me up all this space. This is even more flowers. I'm coming up with the list of things that I want to stick in here. And what was a mess has now been condensed down into a very neat and very organized space on landscape fabric, so it's not going to get filled in with weeds. You know, these are the little bits and pieces, which used to be just kind of spread out. You know, we have our blocks, this like our weights hold things down, fencing. We used to have chickens, so we had fence everywhere. You know, I don't know what we're gonna do with that yet, but it's clean. We have our poles, our bits and pieces for putting together more greenhouses. We have our, you know, our building materials. All of this now is easy to come and grab when we need it. It's organized, it's clean, it's gonna be easy to maintain. Feels really good. I'm really excited. Ian's telling me that I'm forgetting to tell you that he put this wall on the shipping container. So he's turned the in between the shipping containers into a more sealed space. This is another one of our 2-year projects. We started it when we put these shipping containers in place, and now officially, you know, let there be light. It is done. The plan for this was always to cover it and close it in a little bit so that it can be a storage space for our mechanical type things like our lawnmower and the tiller and that kind of stuff, where it's nice to have it out of the weather, but we don't necessarily want it inside the garage. You know, with the light, we're able to use this like as a workspace when we need it. So yeah, it's, you know, it's been so many years. It's been 5 years of starting projects, always being behind. You know, the thing that feels so amazing is it feels like we're finally to the place with the farm, we're finally to the place in our business, to the place in our lives where we can finish jobs. There's so many things around the farm that were half done because we never had the time to be able to do it. And so this year, finally, you know, completing things as simple as this, it means that now we get all the function of it without, you know, having that work that we need to do in the future years. All of these completed tasks are just ability to focus energy and time onto the farm, onto growing better, onto selling better in the future years. And, you know, that's how you make things happen. So I'm really happy. But it is very cold out here. I'm freezing. And our season isn't officially done. I need to get inside and make Christmas ornaments because we have a craft fair this weekend. So we're gonna leave it there. Final farm tour of the year. It's the official end of the 2023 growing season. Now that 2023 is done, I need to start thinking about 2024. And the thing that I need to think about is making sure that my business has a website, which I'm gonna make happen thanks to our sponsor, Squarespace.
Squarespace is the ultimate platform for creating your dream website. With flexible business templates, you can start with professional design that fits your category and customize it to match your unique style. Be it a professional blog, a portfolio, or a business website, Squarespace ensures your online presence stands out on every device. But it's not just about being seen. It's a great way to sell. Whether you're selling physical, digital, or service products, Squarespace provides you with the tools you need to launch your online store effortlessly. From inventory management to secure payment processing, Squarespace has got you covered. And if, like me, you also sell in person, Squarespace offers point-of-sale integration. Connect a Square Reader to the Squarespace app and sync your orders, inventory, and customer data with your online store, making it easy to carry your business anywhere. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/youcan'teatthegrass to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.